Hello and welcome back to Heart of the Holte. It's me this week, Dan Morgan, and I will be covering 5 things that Aston Villa must do to beat Liverpool on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Now, this is the night after Liverpool's Champions League game. I have learnt this from the last time after Tottenham played in Europe. There's a lot of things that we can actually learn from last night's game, and tonight's game is going to be less of a regular sort of preview that you're kind of used to from me and Dan. I'm actually going to be taking a lot of these things that we learnt from the Real Madrid game and see how they will be able to translate into our game against Liverpool on Saturday. Now, the last time Villa managed to successfully do a league double on Liverpool dates all the way back to the 1992-93 season, which is a hell of a long time ago. And there is a legitimate chance that Villa can make their first league double since then this season. Liverpool, a win would see them reclaim 4th spot, had results go their way, and Villa could be within touching distance of the Europa League. Now, I know I have maintained on the podcast, as have Dan, Villa probably aren't going to get it. But, I mean, it would be classic Villa just to pull on our heartstrings right at the last minute, wouldn't it? So here we go. Here are my 5 things that Aston Villa must do to beat Liverpool on Saturday. Number 1, you have to target Trent Alexander-Arnold. As we saw last night, Toni Kroos's long balls pinged onto Liverpool's right-hand side really did see Madrid get the best of Liverpool. Now, should Jack Grealish be fit? And I say should because we don't really know, do we? It's absolutely lights out. It's game over for Liverpool and for Trent. However, Trezeguet as a backup option is more than adequate, as we've seen him get his 2 goals against Fulham, his first 2 of the season. His energy and his work rate is going to be key to really getting the most of Trent. You actually have to just kind of let Trent do his thing, let him go forward. Of course, Trezeguet has the work rate to help out defensively, but letting Trent come on to you leaves all that space in behind for Trezzy to exploit, as he does for Ollie Watkins. And that's going to be really key for Villa to actually get a lot out of this game. As we know, it's well documented, 45% of all of Villa's attacks in the Premier League this season has come from our left-hand side, where, of course, it's usually El Capitano, Jack Grealish's territory. But Trezeguet, absolutely perfect fit to get the most out of Trent Alexander-Arnold on Saturday. Number 2, now this is another thing, again, that we learned from this Real Madrid game last night. The midfield that they chose was so vital to seeing them get the better of Real Madrid. Now, they obviously picked a midfield 3 of Casemiro, Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, which is a midfield that, unfortunately, Villa don't have the luxury of being able to pick. However, you need that linchpin in the middle of midfield. And there has been some kind of discourse about Douglas Luiz, his form as of late. Personally, I think he has been doing okay. There clearly can be better levels from him. But I think this is actually time where Marvelous Nakamba can actually throw his hat into the ring. And a game that he could well start, you need a strong base to that midfield to really combat the threat of Liverpool's, the energy and the pressing. I feel like today could actually be a very good chance for Marvelous Nakamba to make another start. And number 3, Villa really have to choose their system wisely. Do you opt with the tried and trusted 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, however you want to look at it, and look to isolate Trent Alexander-Arnold, get the most out of him, as I alluded to in my first point? Or do you go 4-4-2 with Keelan Van Nistelrooy, my guy, and Ollie Watkins up front, look to bully that sort of newly formed centre-back partnership of Kabak and Nat Phillips? There are positives and negatives to both systems. I feel playing 4-4-2 would actually play directly into Liverpool's hands in terms of how they look to approach this game on the counter-attack with 3 midfielders. Whoever you play in your midfield 2, they're going to have to cover a lot of ground for Villa and more likely than not are going to get overrun. However, there is the option of, as I say, getting the most out of this weak centre-back partnership, having a real sort of steamroller in Keenan and Ollie Watkins, who we know has terrorised the Liverpool defence before. It depends where you kind of stand on the midfield, I guess. It's a really difficult one. I can't see Dean going for 4-4-2 against Liverpool. I can see positives and negatives to both systems. I feel like it will be 4-3-3, which absolutely means you have to get the most out of that weakness in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Number 4, Villa have to establish a tempo and take risks early on in the game. Really have to try and dictate this game. Liverpool aren't the beast, as we know that they have been for the previous 2 seasons. Teams shouldn't be scared of Liverpool, and teams can take games to Liverpool and actually get something. We've seen that so many times this season, and we've seen that with Villa as well earlier on in the season. Now, last night, you've just got to look. I think it's highlighted perfectly in both of Vinicius Junior's goals. Look at the first one, which is taken directly out of the Louis Barry playbook in running deep past Nat Phillips. Ice cold finish. in his veins to put Madrid 1-0 up. And then the second one as well, with a ball that was nicely played into the box by Luka Modric. I do believe Vinicius took his chance with conviction, nutmeg Nat Phillips, and beat Alisson on his near post. It's that kind of aggression, that kind of clinical finishing, and really taking the chances as they come that is going to be the difference between the two sides on Saturday. After losing their last 6 Premier League games at Anfield, Liverpool aren't going to want to make that 7. And against Liverpool, despite the scoreline, despite losing, Liverpool actually did look more like their former selves in the final third, which is absolutely something Villa have to be wary of. However, third best defensive record in the Premier League is Aston Villa. They've only conceded 31 goals so far this season, 1.07 goals conceded per 90 minutes. I have a feeling that after the game against Fulham, we've got that mistake out of our system. Villa have primed and ready for a shutout, and that's all we can hope for. You've got to really frustrate Liverpool, and I feel like keeping a clean sheet at Anfield is so massive. That's something that not a lot of teams can do. A few teams have done this season, but if you can keep that clean sheet at Anfield, it's absolutely vital. And we know that our forwards are capable of scoring goals. We have to be defensively resilient. And there we go, my 5 things Aston Villa must do to beat Liverpool on Saturday. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are ahead of this game. After watching the Real Madrid game, I'm feeling quietly confident we're no Real Madrid, but there are definitely weaknesses, as I've highlighted today, that we can exploit from this Liverpool side. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Did you watch that Real Madrid game as well? Let us know your thoughts ahead of this game, and let us know some predictions in the comments. As always, Dan and I really appreciate the support on the channel. We're coming to this back end of the season, which means we're edging closer and closer to more transfer content, which we know you guys like. We have some things in the pipeline that we're trying to pull off that are like 50% done. I'm getting my Dr. Tony maths equations out for this one. We have some really exciting content coming for you guys in the future. So it would mean the most if you would hit that subscribe button, as over 55% of you guys who watch these videos and podcasts aren't subscribed. It's free. Just subscribe. I promise you won't regret it. Like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.